Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Coach's Corner podcast. I'm your host, Jace Pratt, along with my co-host, Garrett Sweeney. And in this episode, we are joined by Lucas Hunter. Coach Hunter is from Carterville, Illinois. He was a student manager at the University of Alabama for 1 year, then finished the rest of the years at Southern Illinois University as a head manager. And he went on as a graduate assistant for 2 years at East Centra Ja Havens. He spent 1 year at Rogers State, and then moved back with his head coach, Coach Havens, to Northeastern State University in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and he was there for 4 years. After that year, he just now finished his first year as a head coach at Seminole State. And get this, Coach Hunter, he earned his bachelor's degree at SIU in civil and environmental engineering, and has a master's degree in sports administration. And I am excited to introduce my friend, my mentor, Coach Lucas Hunter. What's up, man? Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Jace. I'm thankful to be here and appreciate that you would ask me to join it. So excited for you and all you have going on.
Appreciate it, brother. All right. I'm going to talk about this since I know I gave you a little recap of what's going on, but I kind of know what your answer is going to be, I think. But talk about this bachelor degree you have. Why did you get into coaching?
Well, I got into coaching just because I had some really good coaches growing up that impacted my life, certainly in a big way. In high school, that I was really close with, that shaped me, and also then when I was a manager, like you mentioned, there were some coaches, specifically, Coach Autry was a guy at SIU that I got really close with, but just watching those guys work and just enjoying the relationships and seeing what they did on a daily basis, I was really intrigued by it, and the impact that you can have on young people is certainly something that stood out to me and made me want to get into coaching. My bachelor's degree is in engineering because I was really good at math and really good at problem solving, and it was just something that my parents were always big on, making sure that I had something good to fall back on if coaching didn't work out. It's obviously a competitive profession, and so a good backup plan was engineering, and I was good at math, so that's kind of why I majored in engineering. But was a manager, like you said, for basically my college career, and that's kind of how I got my foot in the door with coaching and the profession itself. But had some great coaches growing up at all levels, and so that's kind of what made me want to be a coach.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I know quite different because Seth, my brother, he's going into engineering also. So it's kind of just, that degree is very good at math, and it's just kind of crazy why why you're into coaching with that degree, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah,
But
if you get into coaching, sometimes you don't ever feel like you're working. Really, it's just kind of part of who you are. So
it's true.
I don't know. I enjoy it.
Yeah, no, that is true. So kind of give a recap, like, why basketball? What kind of made you choose basketball? Just kind of explain and give us something to talk about.
Yeah, well, it was something that I grew up going. I grew up in Southern Illinois, a town called Carterville, like you mentioned, and it's about 15 or 20 minutes from the campus of Southern Illinois University. And whenever I was growing up, there were some really good basketball teams, and we were fortunate. My family had season tickets to the SIU games, and in that era, they were making an NCAA tournament every year. They're one of the best mid majors in the country, and so I grew up kind of just almost idolizing those players. They were my heroes, growing up, and I just loved it and the atmosphere that was at those games. And so, in an early age, I was introduced to basketball, and I got to go to camps. And then, I went to a smaller school, so we were able to play everything: football, basketball, and I ran track. And so, but just had great memories playing basketball, and built great relationships, and just had a great time with it. And so I loved it. And then when I got into college, I had the opportunity to become a manager on the basketball side, and that's kind of what got my foot in the door with it. But I think early on, just my love for basketball came from just watching those teams at SIU. When I was growing up, they were so successful, and just having kind of a first row seat to them is what made me love college basketball specifically.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you got to go. Would you say that was kind of your dream school, going to SIU in college, or what? Did you want to go
Yeah.
out there right out of high school, because you just went straight to Alabama and then you went back to SIU? Kind of talk about, like, what you were thinking through that, I guess.
Yeah, so I wanted to get away when I was in high school, and I really did want to go to Alabama. And I went to a basketball camp there actually growing up, and had some family that lived in Tuscaloosa, so we were down there quite often. And I went there my freshman year and had the opportunity to be a manager there. It was a tougher process at the time to get on to be a manager there. You had to go through kind of tryouts in September and meet with people. And it was a lot of work. I did that. And at that time, I was majoring in accounting my freshman year. And finishing up my freshman year, I decided I didn't really want to be an accountant. Kind of changed my major and had the opportunity to go back to SIU, which was closer to home, as you mentioned. And so really fortunate there. The coaching staff, Coach Henson, let me come on as a manager at Southern Illinois. And that's really where I felt like, I really got kind of into the really coaching. I mean, Alabama, it's just it's a SEC is different level. But when I got to SIU, the staff is smaller and I got to really get involved there. And so I'm really appreciative. I'm forever indebted to those guys, the staff there, Coach Autry, Coach Henson, Coach Clancy. They really made a huge impact on my life for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You mentioned about like kind of you having tryouts for managers. Like what does that consist of? Like what is a tryout for a manager, I guess?
Well, I think it's more than anything, and you've been involved at college level. It's just that if you're going to be a manager, you're going to have to be willing to work, and
Yeah.
and just making sure that it's really kind of a thankless job at times. And I think it was told to me by one of the guys. There's an assistant coach now at Loyola, I believe, but just like your best days as a manager, some days are the days that no one says anything to you, because
Yeah.
everything runs so smoothly that no one had to tell you to make sure that the floor was wiped up or the practice was set up and ready to go. And so at that time, it was just making sure that you were okay with the workload. We had office hours, so we had to be in the office for 4 hours a week, kind of basically handwriting envelopes, and then we were in practice, obviously making sure practice was set up. We could pass, rebound, do that sort of
Yeah.
thing. But
Yeah.
and at that time too, there was NCAA rules that regulated how many student athletes could be in a workout at the same time in the fall. I don't think that those rules exist anymore, but at that time, it was a limited number. So you had managers that were decent athletes that could kind of help facilitate those early fall workouts in September,
Yeah.
where you were limited in numbers of student athletes. You could have managers in there, so it could effectively be like a team workout because you had enough bodies to, simulate different actions on the court as well.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. But so what did you take from being a manager to a coach? So say whenever you were at Southern Illinois, then you got your first year or first couple years as a GA at East Central. Kind of explain just like what did you take from being that manager spot to now being officially a coach?
hmm Well, I think the number one thing is just the amount of work that goes into being a coach. If you're,
Hmm.
as a manager, it's a lot of work, a lot of time. But and I think that you just learn how to work. But those relationships that I formed, whether they're with the players on the team at that time who've gone on to be coaches, and some of my best friends, to the coaching staff at that time, just learning the approach that it took to work at a college, at the college level in basketball, and just seeing the relationships that they formed and kind of the detail that went into that went into coaching. And to be honest with you, the relationships that I formed there at Southern Illinois, started my coaching career. Brad Autry at that time is kind of a quick story, but like that guy was really demanding of me at the time. And as a volunteer, I'm just like, some days, there were days as I was a manager, I'm just like, man, why is this guy on me so hard? He's asking so much, like I'm not getting paid anything. And it's a
Yeah.
lot of hours. But now, that guy's one of my closest mentors. And every, whether it's a coaching job that I've got, he's put a hand on it, but also just like, just life decisions or, things I've thought about and questions I've had. He's someone that I can go to for some advice. And so I think just, seeing the level of work is the biggest thing that I've taken from that. But then also just watching those guys recruit and watching those guys work and do scouting reports and the level of detail that went into it, and the level, skill development workouts as a manager, you're certainly in those, and just picking up things along the way that you take with you. But probably, just the amount of work that goes into being a college coach, and then also just the relationships, how hard they work at those. And, I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for having the opportunity to work for those guys and just them taking me under their wing and teaching me, how to work at it. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, managers are the best, man. We tell our guys, tell our managers every day, man. They're always. I know. I had a couple. I'll shout out his name, Jonas. I know here at NSU. I was in there at like 6:45 in the morning working a guy out, and he was there. And it's just, it's just kind of it's awesome to see how hard they're gonna work at it. And sometimes I don't even need to be told. But then kind of depends on your assistant coach, kind of like you with Coach Austria and whatnot. We'll get on to you and what, but no, that's awesome. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you spent 5 years with Coach Havens, two as a GA, and three,
Yep,
or is
that's
it 6
correct.
years? Awesome. Okay,
Yeah,
so
5 and some change
um,
for sure.
yeah, so kind of talk about your experience with him, because personally, I mean I had a blast with him, but I also want to know what you got out of it with through 5 years with him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I love that guy and his family. Like, they're essentially family to me, and I wouldn't be where I'm at without him and him, giving me opportunity. And I just think so highly of him, and I can never thank him enough for all the impact that he's made on my life. Like, just they've just been so good to me, from him individually, but his family. And so I love him. But I think he's a great coach. I mean, you get the front row seat to him every day, just watching the level of detail he puts into coaching and teaching. He is an educator. He
Mhm.
teaches guys how to play the game. He's demanding. He does a great job, I think, on the floor with guys and just teaching offense and teaching reads. And but I think, more than anything, what I've taken away from him in coaching is just his ability to be a great family man, be a great person as well, and what is such a demanding job. He just balances all of that perfectly. And so, I enjoy my time with him. Like I said, I would not be where I am today without him. And he's so well respected for who he is, obviously as a basketball coach, but also as a person. He just treats everyone with such respect. And the thing with coach is he really runs a program. He's not just someone that's just, trying to win games. He's trying to develop people on and off the court. And I think, the players would all say that as well. They can see the time that he puts into developing them as men, and the time he spends just in the community trying to make things better.
Yeah.
He's just he's a great leader to me. He's a level 5 leader. He tries to leave things better than they are every single time. And he's demanding, but he's also really caring for his players as well. So I can't say enough great things about him, and a lot of who I am is because of him as a coach for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, same way. Like I've enjoyed my time with him. I mean, I feel like I'm prepared to lead on to where I'm going. So he's definitely helped with that and whatnot. So now your first year as being a head coach. How was it? How was it from being assistant to a head coach?
Yeah, well, this year we didn't win as many games as we would like, but it was
You know,
definitely a year of learning.
yeah.
It's
I mean, you
there's
started in July, so it was kind of hard, but I
we
understand
had
that.
some adversity for sure, but
Yeah.
I learned a lot. It's there's definitely an adjustment. Everyone talks
Mhm.
about it being a head coach for the first time, and I'm just thankful to Seminole State for giving me an opportunity to be a head coach for the first time as well, because I learned a lot and grew a lot for sure as a coach and also as a person. It tests you for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, this is a question that it's kind of like I don't know, like I'm gonna get something out of it because this whole podcast is just for us younger coaches just to learn from your experiences or these other head coaches that we're gonna have with. So what is kind of your weakness as a coach that you learned this year? Um, and kind of just
Well,
explain about it.
I would say I have a lot of them. I got a lot to figure out, a lot to learn still, no doubt. But I think, the biggest thing, there's just an adjustment phase going from being an assistant coach to head coach. Like, as an
Yeah.
assistant, I thought I got to pride myself. Like, I could get a lot of work done, and there were things that I could just take care of and I could take off coach's plate. And, like you mentioned before, being with him for 5 years, you almost get to think about how he would handle situations before, so you could hopefully take care of him before he even has to get to him or know about him. And as a head coach, and so then as assistant coach, you're just very task driven, and very, hey, let me take care of this and let me take care of this. And then it's almost, you could just go through a checklist versus as a head coach, I think just think that, and I got better at this throughout the year, but you need to think more, because no matter what, at the end of the day, what you say is going to be final. And so spending more time thinking and thought of, like, how does this impact not just you, but like, how does this impact different players? And is this what's in our best interest as a program, both in the short term and in the long term? And so I just think you have to think more and slow down a little bit more as a head coach. But weaknesses for me, I mean, I'm certainly I can name a lot of them, but I think just um, slowing down is something that I need to do a better job of, and thinking through and not being maybe so emotionally charged at times, whether it's the highs or the lows. I think can definitely help you out, and it could help me out. And so something I hope to get better at. And then I think, probably this year, and I could go on, this list could be a while, but simplifying things, they always say
Yeah.
less is more and keep it simple, stupid, and all that. But something that, I could have done a better job of for sure at the beginning of this year. Just keeping things a little bit more simple.
Yeah. And again, well, I mean, you probably learned a lot your first year. As you
No
leading
doubt.
a team, you have your own team and whatnot. Um, but kind of a couple more questions I got is kind of like, what are your ways you better yourself as a coach? What are some ways I guess you can obviously better yourself, but kind of explain
Mhm.
about that?
Well, I think there's a lot of different ways. There's so many resources out there now that you can dive into that help you out. And I was trying to think about this, how to get better. It's something that every offseason, Coach Havens was really good about. I felt like always trying to add to what we did, whether it was a new drill, a new shooting drill, a new shooting
Hmm.
game, or just a simple action that he wanted to add that we were going to get a lot of reps out of. But I think as a coach, the number one thing, if I had to go back and just do it earlier and do more of it, is just watch a ton of film.
Yeah.
Whether it's film of yourself, of your team, whether it's film of opponents you're going to play, whether it's just a random team that you just like, I'm going to dive into them, and get to do that with a lot of different programs. And like, for us, it's always been like, I'm going to watch a team that has success that maybe shouldn't necessarily have success because they're not at a blue blood level. They're not like just a dominant program where, they're going to be in the top couple, teams in their conference every year because their situation's just better, and figuring out where some of those teams that are just great mid-major programs, how they have sustained success, and just watching them and watching a ton of film because, you can get on Synergy now and you can watch every game, and so just watching them, whether that's like, on the treadmill, like just watch this game,
Yeah.
and what's something that you can pick up, like just watching a ton of film. I think that the game slowed down for me more, and it's still, like I said, I'm a work in progress for sure, but it's helped me a lot just watching a ton of film,
Hmm.
watching film of you guys, at Northeastern State, this year, even though I wasn't there, and watching film from the other MIAA teams. Like, those coaches are so good, and there's stuff that I can pick up from them, and watching good mid-major basketball on Synergy like all the time, I think is something that has definitely helped me out. And then, I I'm kind of a nerd, so I like to read. A lot of those aren't basketball specific books, but they can help you understand people. And at the end of the day, no matter how good of X and O coach you are, if you can understand people better, it's going to make you a better coach. And so trying to read, and then also trying to listen to, if it's listening to a podcast or whatever that looks like, is certainly ways that you can help. And then going to clinics, and a lot of those coaches that you try to watch on Synergy or whatever, if you can ever hear them in a clinic and then ask the right questions because you've watched them, I think that can help you grow as a coach as well. And so there are a lot of resources out there for that now. And, but watching film, I think if you had to just ask me one specific thing that, do is just watch even more of that and take notes on it and try to learn. And, if you can get opportunity to watch a team play and then, ask the coach questions. I mean, coaches are usually pretty willing to share if you ask them specific questions too. So that's the number one thing for me, is just watch a ton of film.
Yeah. No, that's good. I like how you mentioned about going to those clinics because I've never been, and I know whenever you guys took me to Phoenix or not, was it no Dallas? Or was it Dallas? The Final Four? Was that last year?
This year it was in Phoenix. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Oh, sorry, this year. Yeah, this year was in Phoenix last year, but I remember just I mean, it was awesome just in general because I've been listening to a couple podcasts and coaches love going to those, and it's pretty awesome that you can meet and see kind of your coaches that you've been watching throughout the season, and they have a clinic then you can go and listen to what they have to say. So no, that's awesome, and I think it's a good way also that I've been trying to do is learning from that.
mhm.
So kind of the final question, or not final. We have a kind of a buzzer beater question after this question I'm about to ask. But what would you like to achieve in your time as a coach? And kind of explain on
Hmm.
that.
Wow, that's a hard one. And probably get a lot of this from Coach Havens, but I'm not one that's like setting out to. I mean, obviously we all have dreams and things we'd like to, games we'd like to win, championships we'd like to win, all that stuff. But I think, at the end of the day, it just comes down to building relationships. I'm in coaching because the impact you can have on young people, and I'm in college coaching specifically because I feel like college is maybe the most influential time in a young person's life. You're going away from home for the first time. You're kind of forming your own ideas. And it was for me, it was a really influential time in my life. And so I think just, I'm just setting out to be a great leader of young men and hopefully help them, in a positive way, grow, and where they leave the program that I'm in, as a better man. Obviously, hopefully, as a better basketball player too. I think if we do our jobs well, that will take care of itself. But hopefully, grow them as a man and help see them mature as well. And I believe in the process and how you do anything is how you do everything. And if you just commit to becoming better in all aspects of your life every single day, that ultimately the score will take care of itself. And so, that's kind of I don't know that I have a great answer to that in terms of what I want to achieve and win X amount of games and all that stuff. Just trying to help guys get better every single day and believe in building those relationships. And at the end of the day, if you do that, I think that the wins will come.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I definitely my coaches were my inspiration into why I wanted to get into this. So no, that's definitely why I'm kind of doing this. So Gary, you kind of want to talk about this buzzer beater questions that we got for you?
Yeah, I know for sure. This is going to help us get to know, I guess, our watchers or listeners get to know you a little bit better too, Lucas.
Awesome.
Nothing too crazy, but just a few quick questions. So our first one is, what's your go-to travel snack on the road?
Coffee's number one. Coffee's number one. If I'm at Quick Trip, that taquitos, I think you get it for like 2 for $3, so that's good. But coffee and peanut M&Ms probably number 1 and 2. Coffee and some peanut M&Ms late at night.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you on the coffee for sure. So, next one is, what has been your favorite win you've been a part of in your career?
That's hard. Favorite win I've been a part of. I don't know that I have one that comes to mind. Maybe there's been some good ones. I don't know that I can staple it down. We beat UCM that we needed to win that one when I was at Northeastern State. That was a fun game. Beating Washburn at home. Northeastern State was fun. When I was an assistant coach at Rogers State, we actually beat Northeastern State on a buzzer beater. That was a fun game to win. So there's been some fun ones. I don't know if I can narrow it down to one game specifically, but
no, I was telling Garrett about it. I was like, I'm not gonna lie to you, it might be the UCM one. Just that game that it was to win to go to the tournament, and we just
we needed to win it. Yeah, when there's some consequences on the line, it certainly helps. But there's been some fun ones.
Yeah, no, Jace, he mentioned it like as we were writing down the questions. He's like, "Oh, that's the one I think is the best." So that's funny.
It's the one. It's my favorite one I've been a part of. Other than I don't know the Washburn this year. I think you were at that game actually. They were like top 3 in the conference. That was a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. So next one is, what's your favorite hobby outside of basketball?
I love to run. That's probably it. Love to run, love to read, and love to drink coffee. So pretty simple in that respect. But yeah, simple pleasures. I like to drink a good cup of coffee and go for a run.
I got you. I got to ask, do you like put anything in your coffee, or you just drink it black, or?
No, straight black.
I got you. So who's your go-to team when you that you pick whenever you play 2K?
This is hard because I don't really play video games. I don't know. I like to right now in Oklahoma. I like to cheer on the Thunder, so maybe the Thunder.
Hey, that's the best team. So
their head coach is he's one of us. He's a manager, so cheer for him too.
That's what's up. So the last one is, what's an uncommon thing you do? So Jace gave an explanation of, I guess he had someone in class that puts cheese in their cereal. So I guess that's pretty uncommon and a little weird. So like, do you have something that you do that's pretty uncommon?
Ooh, I'm pretty predictable. The amount of caffeine consumption might be uncommon, but I don't know that it is for coaches. I drink coffee all day, so that may be my answer. I drink probably a pot of coffee a day, but yeah,
I'll
I don't
take
know that
that.
I have a good one.
Hey, no, that's a
awesome.
good one.
Jace knows me pretty well, so if I don't know that I
No,
have. I don't know.
that's
I'm pretty
true.
predictable,
You,
pretty
yeah,
routine based.
no, especially a lot of gas station stops for sure on a long trip. That's for sure.
That's
Kind of the
right.
final
Well,
question to tie things down. What is one piece of advice you wish you knew at the beginning of your career that you know now? Kind of explain on that. Because like us, we're young coaches, we're trying to learn and kind of just trying to pick your brain. Like, what is one thing that you wish you knew at the start of your career that you know now?
hmm, that's hard. I have a lot to figure out too, so I don't want to be the authority on any of this. I'm a work in progress for sure. But I think the biggest thing that I think I did know at the time, but um, if I could go back, I'd continue to work at this better. It's just, relationships really matter. And at the end of the day, you never know where people are going to be. And I think that got taught to me, at a younger age. And by those coaches I mentioned previously, it's just like, just form legit relationships, like be who you are, don't be fake. And I think that the people I've worked for have taught me that for sure. But, when you form great relationships with people that are built on the right things, I think that you just be amazed how far that those can help you grow and as a person, but as a coach. And so just work on forming relationships and with everybody, and whether that's the janitor at where you're working or um, GAs in the league or assistant coaches or managers that you're working with in the league. Like you never know where some of those people are going to end up because some of those managers, that I was working with are assistant coaches at Missouri Valley or wherever now. And, like when I was a graduate assistant, our janitor in the building, his name is Jerry. Spent a lot of time with him because he would work nights and I'd be up there doing my master's work. And he was a janitor there and we'd spend a lot of time together and just kind of talk or whatever. But, 5 or 6 years later, he actually is a janitor here at Seminole State now. And you just never know where those relationships are going to end up. And I'm a believer, and I feel like people come into your life, for reasons we don't even know a lot of the time. And so just work on those relationships and build genuine relationships. I think those will help you and get comfortable talking to people and maybe put yourself out there, even though you may sound like an idiot, and we all do sometimes. But just put yourself out there and talk to people and be real. It's the biggest piece of advice I could give anybody, I think.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's great.
You've definitely I don't know, you've inspired me. You've been my mentor, and I'm glad you are. You're doing a great job down there at Seminole State, and know you are. But that's all I have. Gary, you got anything?
No, I think I appreciate everything you said, and I'm definitely going to take that with me, going into the next year. So, thank you for coming on, Coach.
Awesome. No, thank you
Yeah,
guys. Thanks for your time, Jason. Garrett, I don't know you as well, but Jace, man, I'm just looking forward to watching you be a head coach, man. I think you're going to kill it.
appreciate that.
You've earned it, man. You worked your butt off. So I can't thank you for, well, obviously, you worked hard for me when I was an assistant, kind of for our program. So you deserve this, and I'm happy. I'm really happy for you and Ashley to get to go up there to Commerce, and you'll kill it.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I'll definitely probably call you a lot.
That's all right.
Thanks for your
Yeah, phone's
experiences.
available. Phone's available.
Awesome. All right. Well, I
I'll be
appreciate you,
calling you
Coach.
someday asking a bunch of questions too. So
I
yeah,
got
how do
you.
I handle this?
I don't know if I'll have the answers, but we'll
Yeah,
see. All right.
all the
Well,
work in
thanks.
progress.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Coach. I'm definitely gonna take some notes over this. I really do appreciate you coming on here for the first episode. But yeah, thanks for being on here.
Like Mavis, no shame, baby, I'm